Out of all the animated movies being released this year, Ron's Gone Wrong was the only one I wasn't even aware of was coming out. And by extension, I didn't even know what it was until the first trailer dropped a few months ago. I thought it looked okay, but I had a feeling it would just be that. Okay, I didn't think much of it and wasn't planning to watch it until Animation Explosion was nearing by. But thanks to this movie being released by Fox, it was put on Disney Plus last year, so that was the perfect opportunity for me to check it out. And I won't lie when I say this, but this movie's actually really good. Is it amazing? No, not really, but for what it was going for, it's a lot better than it has any right to be. And when you consider that this movie was directed by the same person who did Arthur Christmas, that might explain a lot. Barney is the only kid in his school who doesn't have a Bubblebot, a product that was originally made to be a child's permanent best friend, when in reality it's just a walking tablet that takes pictures and posts them online. His father eventually finds him his own Bebot, who he names Ron, but the catch is that he's defective. He can't connect to the internet properly, sometimes forgets names, and doesn't really know how to act like a true friend, so he pretty much does whatever Barney does. And his parental locks are broken too. That means he'll even go out and get alcohol. Barney tries to shut him out due to his malfunction, but of course they start to get along and other kids start to like Ron as well. When this movie came out, I, as well as several other people, noted some similarities with the Mitchells vs. Machines, such as both featuring massive tech companies making products everyone uses, and robots that become defective forming their own personalities. But those are the only similarities this movie has with Mitchells, and just because something is similar doesn't always mean it's bad. Not to mention, Ron's Gone Wrong feels way more down to earth and simple than Mitchell's save humanity complex. The core of this film is the growing friendship between Ron and Barney, which despite going through some of the typical best friend tropes like a third act breakup, it's still done brilliantly. Both learn how to be good friends, and through Ron's malfunctions, it allows the two of them to make other friends as well. Ron is just a cute and funny robo who kinda reminds me of Baymax in that innocent, well-meaning term despite their friends having issues with them at points. And even though Barney is another kid who's portrayed as feeling lonely and by himself, it's thankfully not a scenario where everyone at school hates him aside from the obvious bully. He just sticks by himself and struggles to open himself up to others because he thinks it's not appropriate without the right toy that everyone else has. I heard from a number of people when this movie came out that it's just another desperate attempt to push an anti-technology moral. You know, in that same vein of films that act like technology is bad and kids need to go outside and play instead. But that's not entirely the case with Ron. While the film does have a good moral about how technology can dampen one's real-life interactions with friends and making it matter more than digital friends, there's also a brilliant compromise done by the film's endgame. The Bebots have this algorithm that often picks friends for the kids if they have the same interests, and by the end they realize they can still be friends regardless of mutual differences as long as there's a common ground. They learn to compromise and learn to take chances on who they can be friends with. So the moral by the end of the film is, technology is more of a novelty than a necessity. It's good to use every once in a while, but you shouldn't be 100% reliant on it all the time. Simply put, the movie is just a giant fuck you to the Emoji Movie. Beyond all of that, the comedy is really funny, the writing is tight, and the animation, despite some of the humans looking more stick figure-ish than normal, does have similar Arthur Christmas vibes. Apparently this is the first film from a new studio called Locksmith Animation, and you know what? I hope they continue to make more movies like this because they seem to have a lot of talent behind them. I only have two major gripes with this movie that hold it from being amazing. One is the villain. It's another one of those villains who tries to make the Bebots the way he thinks will earn them a lot of great profit, and there's this scientist who had a different vision but it was lost along the way and they have to keep it a secret or else the Bebots won't be marketable anymore. The opposite of the conflict we got in Mitchells vs. Machines, in all the worst ways. And two, some of the characters feel a little one-note. They aren't bad characters, but compared to Ron and Barney, there's not a huge amount of substance to them. But aside from that, I seriously recommend checking this movie out. Like I said, it's far from an amazing movie, but given how little I thought of it before it came out, that's a damn high compliment. Mitchells vs. Machines is still a little better in most areas, but it's easily in the top 5 list of every animated movie this year. If you've already seen Mitchells, I don't think you'll miss out on too much if you decide to skip it, but whether you haven't or not, I think you'll enjoy this movie just fine.